Waiting for our Canal cruise. Mami risau. But Zin, kotor. Jangan kotor.
Take some blankets. It's about as much fun as you can have in Amsterdam, I hope. The streets get a lot wider and you can't get hit by a bicycle on the water, so it's one of our favourite places to be. Now, I didn't too much. No, I'm just wondering if... in the summertime we'd be doing high fives, but we can't today, because we're all stuck in there. So, yes, the best thing you can do in Amsterdam, without a doubt, is looking through people's windows. It never gets boring and it's completely socially acceptable. If you don't look inside the windows, the people that live inside there will be mortified, because the number one word in this country is gezelligheid, which means coziness. So they try to make the inside of their buildings as cozy as possible. Of course, the first thing they want you to see is that they're not doing anything wrong, which is why they leave the curtains open. It's part of the truth. The other part of the truth is that the Dutch are very, very, very cheap. And they're very proud to be very cheap. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. If you want to test it out, you can go back to your hotels and print up 3 words and stick it on your window. Gratis, which means free. Bigger than the Anne Frank house trying to get into your building. They don't know what it is, but they know it's free or cheap. So definitely they want to keep their curtains open so they can get as much free light going into their building as possible. But the beautiful thing for us is that none of the Dutch people actually know why they do it. They just know that they're Dutch, and because they're Dutch, they have to do it because everybody else does it. So, great fun for us. The vegetables, they'll either fry them or boil or smash everything good out of them, and it's just not fantastic. So the safest places to go and eat food, of course, over here is the food hall, which is called the food hall. Otherwise, Indonesian restaurants, and Indonesia was famously a colony of the Netherlands until 1975. So if you want to try some Indonesian food, the number one dish over here is called a rice table. In Dutch it's called a rice tafel, but everyone's going to know what you're trying to say, and it's for people that really, really, really love food. So you have to order it for 2 people. It'll cost. So a lot of stuff wound up in the canals. So normally they're not this bad. And if you want real proof that our canals are not that bad, we do have a canal event, swimming event, every single year. And our current queen, Maxima, our sexiest queen, she comes from Argentina. She swims in the canals every year. So if it's good enough for the royal family, this is the North Church, is what you're looking for. And is anybody going to be here on Monday morning? No, too far away. Next time you come back, it's also open on Mondays. So there we go. Please. Crane on top, a little bit like what you find at the fairgrounds when they pull out the soft toys, but our one works really well, and they have a fish finder, and they pull out all the stuff that we can't see underneath us. Now, underneath us, it's 3 metres depth to the bottom of the canal, or 9 feet. So the bottom metre is basically a layer of bicycles. And then we have, see that tiny bit of metal that looks like a great place to tie up your boat? Yeah. That is actually paid for by all the insurance companies. All of them combined every year, they do the upkeep, pull up and drop them in the canal, which I've never ever seen happen. Most of the bikes that I see falling to the bottom of the canal happen at around about beer o'clock when everybody's leaving the bar and they forget about their spatial awareness and they're busy unlocking their bike, but they, for maximum points, they look around and think, oh, what would be more cultural than going to a toilet where I'm sure a lot of Dutch people have been to the toilet before. All this water looks like a perfect place, so they got the on, pull it out because you might be able to save a life. And yeah, you found the blue one as well. Cool. And when did you arrive?
This morning.
This morning. Oh, sorry. Very short memory here. It's Amsterdamaged, unfortunate thing about this town. But so big plans tonight.
Going to Lucia.
I've heard about it. I haven't been yet.
Heard good things.
Okay. Cool. Woo! Back where we, yeah, I know. So we live here. It's the queue for the Anne Frank house.
Yeah.
So has anybody been inside already? About who do you think the terrorist is or whatever, and you're and it just makes you feel mad and angry, and then you come out going, oh, and everyone goes, oh Jesus, and that's a really out of water. So if you have somebody with a really, really wide house, it meant that other people couldn't get their goodies. See? Nice little lean to the left. When they were being taxed on how wide the houses are, I told you before how Dutch people, they have a nice strong affinity with money and they like to throw it away. So they turned around to the government and said, well, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is build the tallest lot we use today because it's completely free. So when it comes time to buy a brand new bed or couch or television, pool table or anything like that, of course we can't fit it up these staircases that a lot of the time we use our hands and our feet for because we love being alive. Really. And so you're travelling with?
My husband.
Tom, welcome Tom from London. But at the moment we've got about 85,000 tourists a day. So that's why when you go underneath the bridge, everybody waves at you. If you see anybody in a houseboat that waves at you, clearly they're Airbnb. We'll test them out. Oh, I've missed the Chicago bit before. So people from Boston, New York, Chicago, Texas, and California. And what's going on? Are you traveling around the world? Are you... Yeah. And okay, so you've done it all?
Yeah, not yeah.
We're playing here. We're playing. The boat.
Any bicycle riding happen whilst you're over here?
No.
You're staying for about 1,500 years longer. But they've got a special little one called poffertjes. I don't know if you've come across the poffertjes yet, but they're mini Japan stores.
No.
They're junk food for people that don't want to talk to people. So instead of having to go to a counter and order any food, you can... But no, the official rule is if the boat is less than 15 metres long, which is about 16 yards, and if it goes less in summertime. But, oh! Beautiful thing about having an accident on a boat going these sort of speed limits is everything happens in slow motion. They can all give each other any other capital city in the world. A lot of those are cheese museums, so if you like cheese, you're in the right place. But at night time, the city always looks the same, which is beautiful. All the lights come on, it's just really nice. So even if it's foggy or hazy and stuff like that, it's just a little, you know, something different. And it's starting to drive you crazy because you know, when we come over here, we all have to learn how to cross the road. Everybody has common sense because we're still alive. But when we come over here, the first thing and then you can walk down here, and actually this is the nice corner to walk to. This corner is called Church Street or Church Square, and there's a little street, see that not this bridge, but the bridge behind us, that's actually Church Street. And if you follow Church Street, it takes you all the way around the city, and it's a really nice place to be because you're miles away from all the people throwing up in the gutter. We don't have a lot of that, but super nice. I hope you like it because this is, I think, underneath the bridge.
Oh,
So
okay.
and it's a little bit unfair on all the other houseboats that are nicely painted and they've done a nice job. If you bought your own houseboat and you didn't like it, you're allowed to build a new one, but only to the scale of the one that existed before you. So that one will be a double story one, so it'll be worth, the average price of a houseboat in Amsterdam is 300,000 euros.
Wow.
On this particular canal, it's probably around about people wanting to live here and not enough space. So the government is really frustrated with speculators. So about every 100 years, a group, a little oligarchy of very rich Amsterdams all get together and go, how can we get even more money? And they figure out the easiest way to get more money is literally just to basically buy, but also for Amsterdam. So if we go that way, you can see our river locks. Those river locks have not been used since 1650, but they're historical and we like them. So they're still there. But if we keep going that way, you're going to run into three big European rivers, the Maas, the Rhine and the Scheldt. So this is basically like a delta waterway. And then a big storm and it pushes all the water inland, it'll fill up the lakes, and then when the lakes fall, it comes back and it washes away your whole village. So what the Dutch eventually started doing around about the year 11, joined it together with a bunch of dikes, so we ended up keeping a wall between all the villages and the ocean. The ocean was on that side, the villages were safe. British passport though, and you're thinking, oh, it'd be nice to have a little house in Amsterdam. You just got to pop into this building, see the round one, that's the Opera House. The square one to the left-hand side is the Town Hall. Just go and tell them you don't earn much money, can you put me on the list? You get a nice little tweet in about 12 years time, say, hey, your house is ready. Officially tolerated. So if you guys go into a hotel and you find a cat there, or a coffee shop or a restaurant, you find a cat right there, you might think the first thing is like, that's not very hygienic. Somebody might in this country that it's still illegal to buy marijuana, to smoke marijuana, to grow marijuana, and to often DJs and live music. It's I hate the word hipster. I don't hate it, but like, probably the best way to describe it. It's very
Nemo.
super trendy. I mean, but it's cool. It's like half a warehouse, but it's more like an artist's warehouse. So like, it's got all the gizmos and gadgets to make it feel pretty. They're selling. So this is the open harbour. Here, on our right-hand side, we have the original warehouse for the biggest company that ever existed in the world, the Dutch East Indies Trading Company. Now it's all part of the Maritime Museum. If you pay for your entrance, you can go and jump on this big boat. This big boat is called an East Indiaman, and that's the boat that made the Dutch Empire hugely successful. It's actually the most successful boat up until around about the year 1650, when the English and French figured out how to build big boats, and then set us on fire. So there's three big boats the Dutch invented. The first one is called a Colvin, and we had to build this one in 1500 because this, actually where we are right now, used to be on the outskirts of the city. The city used to actually go up to this line. That tower is actually unpacked, or maybe not. Waterbed, and so that's actually a little cafe. You can go inside there and have a few drinks. It's definitely crooked.
definitely cool.
Now, if you do go there and have a few drinks, go and sit on every single chair. Bracerat, which means Jewish Broadway. There's your fresh there going. So he's going straight towards me. What are you doing? Not so sure about your driving there, brother. Washing machine action here. They got some big heavy duty engines in those ones, so sometimes we think like we're going in a straight line, but we're a bit of a tease to let you all know that. But I'll also let you know it's not my favourite market. It's just that oldest one. That one there is called Loop Line or Water Loop Line Market, and that's the oldest one we have. So out there for a long time was known as the Jerusalem of the North. In fact, up until the Second World War, 12% of our population. But that one there, we're going to actually tear it all down and put a 6-lane motorway in it and all sorts of stuff. It was our city mayors, basically, that went, oh my gosh, we're stuck in this medieval city, we don't even have like a 3-lane motorway, and we got all these pissy little cars and all these bicycles. So, of course, by the 70s, muscle cars were the biggest thing in this tiny little city with all these arch bridges and stuff like that. And it wasn't until the trade embargo happened with Iran in the late 70s that basically our Prime Minister said, okay, we can't afford fuel, everybody back on your bikes. And we lost that muscle car thing. A little bit trapezoidal rather than rectangular. And that's because around about 400 to 500 years, these buildings have been leaning. And if you live in one of these buildings, it's all your own fault, because if you have a problem with it, the government, the whole facade of all these buildings now is UNESCO Heritage listed. In your basement, pull out the old foundation, put in new foundation, but if you want to return it to its original angle, you can only move these buildings about 1 millimetre every 10 days. So those ones are leaning about 4 foot from top to bottom, which means it's going to take about 9 years. And so, of course, that's just too dramatic for the whole neighbourhood, so we don't do that. What we do is if it's, I bet there's got to be at least a dozen Amsterdammers every year wake up and they're staring at their fridge. We've been in denial for a long time, but our house is literally sliding. So what you can do when that happens, if you don't want to pay the 150,000 euros or so, you can just call up somebody who makes below us. So nobody's got that deep. In between us and the bedrock though, we've got a mixture of clay, sand and peat, which means there's very little moisture. If you were to drop your hat in there, maybe your hand length, so that would be standing on around about 100 trees. So if you just count another 9 buildings, that's 1,000 trees. You haven't even got 50 yards down the road. So incredibly hard work. And so basically to get them into the ground, now there's around about 7,000 of these sculptures around Amsterdam, mainly around the red light district, but they do go everywhere else as well. And up until 200 years ago, every single building in Amsterdam had a little sculpture on it to let us know who was living. Hey everybody, I'm your new rabbit. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where he's going with this one. They're like, his entourage is like, Louis, get off the stage and pulls him up. No, the king, I'll talk for as long as I want. So by the time he was done, that says Hotel Canal View. And that little door on the right hand side, number 7, is the second smallest building in town. It looks pretty small, huh? Yeah. If you want to find the smallest one though, all you have to do is look ahead to the right hand side. See there's another building that says 16